The moment you introduce an element which takes it back to a national function, then it becomes unconstitutional. I submit, I oppose.
Senator Charadike, 1 minute only.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, when you look at the fourth and third schedule of the Constitution in devolved function and national government functions, it is cross-cutting. So, fourth schedule, sorry, it is cross-cutting, Madam Speaker. And therefore, it is misnomer to say housing is fully devolved. Yet when it comes to policy and implemented, it is shared between both the national and county government. So, Madam Speaker, I think the committee is in order. I support.
I put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. Division at the end.
The title.
I propose the question that the title be part of the bill, and I invite the chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing, to move this amendment.
Madam Speaker, I wish to withdraw that amendment.
So that has been withdrawn, so there is no need to proceed. Next.
Clause 1.
Now that the amendment has been withdrawn, I propose the question that the title be part of the bill. I put the question that the title be part of the bill, division at the end.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. I invite the chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing, to move this.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Having dropped the title, I wish to also withdraw this amendment.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Senator Manzo, you want to? I put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill, division at the end. It's the end of these amendments. Yes.
I must exercise your discretion and allow me to move the amendment on clause 2.
Are you withdrawing?
Understanding order 1. Yeah.
Are you withdrawing it?
No. I'm moving the amendment.
Okay, proceed.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, I propose that clause 2 of the bill be amended as appearing on the order paper. The justification, Madam Speaker, is to remove the definition of the word institutional housing, to align it with my other proposed amendments in the bill. Thank you.
So you have reintroduced the amendment. You have brought back the amendment.
No. Yes?
You have now brought back the amendment.
Yes, I've now brought back the amendment.
Okay.
That is clause 2 of the third schedule.
Okay. I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed, division at the end. I now ask the mover to report progress.
Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order number 153, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole do report the progress on its consideration of the National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023. Sorry, wait. I take it again. Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order number 153, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again today.
Honorable Senators, I put the question that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again today. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Honourable members, let us have your seats. Honourable members, Senator Mazayo, let us transact business. Senator Tabitha Karanja Keroche. What is your point of order? Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 34-4A that the House extends its sitting time until the order of business on order number 10 is concluded. I do request the Senate Deputy Majority Whip to second.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I second.
Honourable Senators, I want to put the question that the House proceeds until the close of business, until the order number 10 is concluded. Honourable Senators, what is the mood of the House? Yeah, no. Let me give 2 members this end and 2 from this other side. I start with the Senator Sifuna. Senator Sifuna, you have the floor.
Speaker, you know, it has become habit every time that there is a matter such as this, that instead of allowing more debate on the matters that are before the House, you will see how we are being rushed in the Committee of the Whole, that we could not even speak to the amendments that are being brought here. Then it is hypocrisy for you to extend the sitting of the House so that you can achieve your nefarious political ends. Mr. Speaker, therefore, I want to issue a very stern warning. Mr. Speaker, I want to issue a very stern warning to the Leader of Majority. The Leader of Majority is abusing the rules of this House, Mr. Speaker. When we want the time to actually make meaningful contributions on specific legislation, like we were doing in the Committee of the Whole, he is the one who's making sure that members cannot speak to the matters that are important to the constituents, the people who elected us. But here he is going to keep us here. I don't know what he wants us to do now. Mr. Speaker, he should... In fact, if I were on the majority side, Mr. Speaker, can I be...
Senator
can I
Sifuna,
finish?
you cannot file that question directly to him. Just file through me and then I'll make the determination.
Mr. Speaker, I don't trust you as a conduit of the messages that I want to transmit.
So,
I would rather he hears directly from me, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Sifuna.
I have not finished.
Just 2 minutes are enough, and you are done with your 2 minutes. Senator Kipkolil William Cheptumo.
Speaker, if you look at the demeanor of Senator Sifuna, he is actually supporting the extension of the House. At some point, he was smiling. That is my opinion. I may be wrong, but that is my opinion. He's my friend anyway, he will not. Mr. Speaker, I think there is a justifiable reason why the majority leader sought an extension. Mr. Speaker, we have done with the Committee of the Whole. What is remaining is a small part of this process. It is only fair, Mr. Speaker, that we allow a small extension so that we sort out this issue. It is not really, Mr. Speaker, out of order. It is prudence in good faith for this House, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ososi Godfrey. Actually, I'm giving members who have not spoken this afternoon.
Mr.
Senator
Speaker,
Ososi.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I've been sitting here. I came to this House this afternoon to contribute to this Committee of the Whole House debate. But I'm surprised that we have been gagged. We couldn't make our contribution on this bill. And now the Leader of Majority wants us to finish this process this evening. I'm wondering why they hurry, because we'll still be here on Tuesday next week to pass this bill. And in any case, Mr. Speaker, this bill, with the amendments that have been proposed, it's going to go into the mediation committee. So it's still, why are we rushing through when in any case it's going through the mediation committee? Mr. Speaker, this is just a fertile ground for opposition of this bill in court.
Last but not the least, Senator Mudigi Alexander Munyi.
Asante Bwana Spika. Mimi naunga mkono tuende tuweze kwenda kwa kupiga kura, kwa sababu leo naona walio wachache wote wako hapa. Naona katibu mkuu, naona minority, naona hata mtu ambaye ni mwenyekiti wa mazingira na haonekanangi hapa, lakini leo wamekuja hapa tu just kuongea tu wasikike, na walio wachache kule nje ati wanaongea mambo ya manyumba. Kwa hiyo naomba mkono saa hii tuende kwa kura ili tusaidie mwananchi wa Kenya, kwa sababu kaunti 47 inataka manyumba. Na nilisema tena hapa siku ile nilikuwa hapa, ati tulienda Colorado, nimeenda North Carolina, tulienda kila pahali yote na manyumba iko, lakini saa hii hata ile kaunti itakuwa na bahati sana ni kaunti ya Nairobi ya rafiki wangu. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono tufunge na Embu County, sisi tunataka manyumba, na wakati ule mwingine tunaomba kura.
Your time is over, Senator Mundigi. Your time is over. Honorable senators, kindly don't direct the chair. I'm competent enough to run this house. I don't want any direction from any court. Honorable senators, I propose the question that the business of the house continues until we finish with the order number 10, appearing in the order paper. As many as those of the same opinion say aye. Aye. As those of the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Yeah? Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators, Honorable Chariot, why are you written this afternoon? What is the problem? I now call upon the chairperson to report.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023, and seeks leave to sit again today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mover. Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. I request the Senator for Nyandarua to second.
Senator Medu.
Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable Chalgei. Honorable Chalgei. Honorable Kajwang. Order, please. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Of the same opinion, say aye. Aye. As those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order. Next order.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole, the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023.
Senators,
Honorable Senators, we are now going into division. I'll request you to settle down and the Sergeant at Arms to ring the bell for 10 minutes. Yes. Once we have the quorum, the bell will stop ringing, so it's okay. Yeah, ring the bell for 10 minutes. Honorable Senators, we can now settle down so that we can move into division. Sergeant at arms, you may close the doors and draw the bar. Senator Eddy, resume your seat away from Majority Leader. Honorable Senators, Senator Kenywa, please settle down. Senator Karongo, kindly settle down. Honorable Senators, we are proceeding to division. I request you to log out of the system. Please log out of the system. Sergeant at arms, please pick up any cards that are not attended. Please log back in, Senators. Are you ready? Please log back into the system. Honorable Senators, I'm going to the first clause. Senator Karongo, please be settled. I'm on the first clause, a clause for deletion. I put the question, Senator Cheradige, pay attention please. I put the question that clause 34 be deleted as proposed by Senator Omugeni. You may proceed to votes. Senator Joyce and Senator Mariam will vote under their delegation. Honorable Senators, these are the results for the division. Ayes 11, nays 28, abstention 0. The nays have it. We will proceed to voting on the new clauses. We have about 12 new clauses. I put the question that new clauses 11A, 11B, 31A, 31B, 31C, 31D, 31A, 31F, and 31G, 37A, 42A, and 42C, as proposed by the chairperson and Senator Abbas, be now read a second time. You can proceed to vote. Honorable Senators, these are the results of that division on the new clauses. The second division, the ayes 28, nays 11, abstention 0. The ayes have it. We are proceeding to the next division, and Honorable Senators, the doors are locked, both the front end and the back end. Please, therefore, don't attempt to leave before we finish. Thank you. We are proceeding to the next division, clauses with amendments, and I'll begin by the amendments proposed by Senator Okongo Omugeni. I put the question that clauses 3, 4, 6, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, that schedule, and clause 2 be amended as proposed by Senator Okongo Omugeni. Please proceed to vote. Please proceed to vote. We are now waiting for the results of that division. Honorable Senators, these are the results of the third division. The ayes 10, nays 28, abstention 0. The nays have it. We are proceeding to the fourth division. These are amendments by the chairperson of the committee. I put the question that clauses 5, 7, 9, clause 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 38, 39, 40, 42, 44, 45, 47, 48, 49, third schedule, and clause 2 be amended as proposed by the chairperson. May proceed to vote. Honorable Senators, these are the results of the 4th Division. Can you settle down, Senators? Majority Leader. These are the results of the 4th Division. The ayes 28, nays 11, abstention 0. The ayes have it. We are proceeding to the 5th Division on all clauses. I put the question that clause 3 is amended, clause 4 is amended, clause 5 is amended, clause 6 is amended, clause 7 is amended, clause 8, clause 9 is amended, clause 10 is amended, clause 11 is amended, clause 12 is amended, clause 13 is amended, clause 14 is amended, clause 15 is amended, clause 16 is amended, clause 17 is amended, clause 18 is amended, clause 19 is amended, clause 20 to 22, clause 23 is amended, clause 24 to 31, clause 32 is amended, clause 33 is amended, clause 34 is amended, clause 35 is amended, clause 36 is amended, clause 41, clause 42, clause 37, clause 42 is amended, clause 38 is amended, clause 39 is amended, clause 40 is amended, clause 41, clause 42 is amended, clause 43, clause 44 is amended, clause 45 is amended, clause 46, clause 47 is amended, clause 48 is amended, clause 49 is amended, clause 11A, new clause 11A, new clause 11B, new clause 31A, new clause 31B, new clause 31C, new clause 31D, new clause 31A, new clause 31F, new clause 31G, new clause 37A, new clause 42A, new clause 42C, first schedule is amended, second schedule, third schedule is amended, clause 2 is amended, the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. Senators, you may proceed to votes. Majority Leader and Senator Osotsi, proceed and vote. Honorable Senators, these are the results of the 5th and last division. The ayes 27, the nays 11, abstention 0. The ayes have it. And that brings us to the end of the division in the housing, the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023. I now call upon the mover to proceed and report.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the Senate its consideration of the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
I put the question that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Close the bars and open the doors.
We are going to the final voting. Draw the bar. Point of order on what now? Even before we start transacting the business. Resume your seat. Senator Ambua, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the correctness of the records of the voting, we have realized on this side that Senator Morago has voted in this division and is not in the chamber. He does not have a delegation. How did that happen, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, on this side, we equally noted that on the 4th division, Senator Mohamed Faki, the senator for Mombasa, was not in the House and his vote has been recorded. We need that to be checked as well.
Therefore, honorable senators, this is a very a very simple matter, and it is provided for in our standing orders. Anything that is provided for in the standing orders should not bring any problem in this house. If you go to standing order 90, standing order number 90, and I read verbatim, if after an electronic or a roll call vote has been made, it is discovered that the number has been inaccurately reported or that an error has occurred in the names of the division list, that fact shall be reported to the Senate and the Speaker shall direct that the necessary correction be made. And I now direct that the necessary correction should be made on those two senators who have voted and they are not in this house. And now the chairperson to report.
Honorable Senators, I wish to report. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Next, mover.
Honorable Speaker,
I already
I
made.
beg.
No, proceed, mover. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House to agree with the committee of the said report. I request the Senator for Nyandarua to second.
Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the Senate report. Honorable Senators, I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the Senate report. As many as those of the same opinion say aye. As those of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover, you call the hand reading.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023 be now read a third time. I request the Deputy Majority Leader to second.
Deputy Majority Leader, Senator Tabitha.
I second.
I propose the question that the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023 be now read at that time. And Honorable Senators, I put the question that the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bills number 75 of 2023 be now read at that time. Honorable Senators, we now go to the division. You can ring the bell for 2 minutes. Sergeant at arms.
Guys, how do you guys?
Senators, I, yeah, honorable senators, honorable senators, honorable senators, I want to assure you that this house will remain house of debate. A house of debate. I'm telling you. And number don't be stiffened. So now, can you kindly withdraw your cans? And we don't want the same mistake to withdraw your cans kindly. And Sergeant Attams, ensure that no can is in the box. I want confirmation from the Sergeant Attams that there are no cans unattended. No, mine shouldn't. I also. And proceed to vote. Honorable Senators, let us be orderly. Honorable Senators. Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators. Honorable Senators, take your seats. I want to, Honorable Senators, Senator Mudigi, Majority Whip. Majority Whip. Proceed and vote. Take the vote to her for voting. Take your seat, Senator Sige. You'll be sorted out. All the senators, Majority Leader, conclude that Komkunji, then we get results. Have your seats. Take your seat, Majority Leader, kindly. Take your seat. Honorable Senators, I want to give results for the division. Abstention 0, nays 10, ayes 27. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to give effect to Article 43 1B of the Constitution to provide a framework for development and access to affordable housing and institutional housing and for connected purposes.
Thank you. Now withdraw the bar and open the doors. Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators, having concluded business in order number 10, and the time being 5 minutes to 7, we adjourn, time to adjourn the House. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 13th March 2024 at 9 a.m. 9 a.m., 9:00 a.m.
Tonight, violent winter winds, 30 million Americans on alert. Thousands of delays and more than 100 cancellations at some of the nation's busiest airports. Strong gusts sending trees toppling, leaving at least one person dead and knocking out power to thousands. The winds pushing ocean waters inland, flooding an entire New Hampshire neighborhood. We are tracking the latest. Also tonight, getting her vote. Former President Trump blasting President Biden as general election campaigning kicks off. But there is a key demographic leaving him vulnerable: women. The new poll showing how former President Trump stacks up against Biden. Plus, the heated exchange between an ABC anchor and South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace as she's asked about her support of Trump as a sexual assault survivor. Gangster in chief, Haiti's most notorious gang leader, taking command as the nation plunges into political crisis. He's known as Barbecue. He's also a former police officer. His violent efforts to establish control vowing to fight until the prime minister resigns. The U.S. evacuating embassy staff and ramping up security as instability rocks the region. And good deed. 80 years ago, a Chinese-American family found themselves with nowhere to live amid racially restrictive housing laws. Then a black couple gave them a place to rent with no one else when no one else would. How they're paying it forward all these years later. Top story starts right now. And good evening. Tonight, destructive and dangerous winds lashing at the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, knocking out power and snarling travel. Take a look at this, a rough landing in Washington as a plane teeters back and forth, fighting off strong gusts as it descends. Tropical storm force winds disrupting travel at major airports in the Northeast tonight. Thousands of delays and more than 100 flights canceled, a majority in the New York region. In Pennsylvania, intense winds sent this: trees crashing into a home, killing a man who lived inside. Philadelphia recorded winds topping 60 miles per hour. In New Hampshire, strong onshore winds pushing seawater ashore, flooding homes and turning streets into rivers there in Hampton Beach. The storm knocking out power to more than 100,000 customers in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Bill Cairns is standing by tonight to time things out, but first we start with NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin.
Tonight, spring break travel is off to a bumpy start.
Wind everywhere, it was shaking, almost threw up.
Strong winds snarling air travel at airports up and down the coast. So far today, there's been nearly 3,500 flight delays and more than 100 cancellations.
I just hope we make it home one time. I don't want to stay here another night.
After a messy weekend of wet weather and harrowing escapes, that system blown out Monday by gusts up to 63 miles per hour, with tens of millions of Americans in the Northeast under wind alerts. The combination of rain-saturated soil and strong winds turned deadly overnight. In Pennsylvania, 43-year-old Scott Quickle was killed after a massive tree fell on his home. Meanwhile, across the tri-state area, the wind knocked out power for thousands. And in our nation's capital, the weather shut down monuments for a second day.
It used to be that the weather of yesterday was predictive of the weather of today, and that's no longer true. We're seeing much warmer winters, much wetter winters.
The unfortunate new reality of a winter of extremes. And Tom, speaking of that winter of extremes, these strong winds are expected to die down by tomorrow morning, followed by some unseasonably warm temperatures. So some good news in the end for those spring breakers. Tom.
Okay, Aaron, for more on the wild weather, though, NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns joins me now. Bill, Aaron mentioned there we're expecting some warmer temps and even some record highs in the days ahead. Where will we see those?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. It's time to move on to the next weather story because these winds are dying off quickly in the Northeast, and it has been an incredible day in the middle of the country. You know, everyone in the Northeast was talking about, wow, it was crazy windy, my house was shaking. Well, everyone in the middle of the country in the northern plains is talking about how unusually crazy warm it is. We're 70 degrees today in Fargo, North Dakota, broke the record high easily. Almost 80 degrees in Nebraska today, broke the record high in Minneapolis, Rochester, Minnesota broke your record high by 10 degrees. And now that warmth is on the move. It's going to head through the Great Lakes. Tomorrow, Chicago is going to be near 70 degrees, 24 degrees warmer than it should be. And you get the idea. St. Louis at 73. We're going to start talking cherry blossoms soon in Washington, D.C. 70 tomorrow. And then finally, all this warmth gets into the Northeast. New York City, mid-60s by Wednesday. And it's widespread. It's not just in one area either. But the weather whiplash is going to be pretty crazy because we're going to start talking about a snowstorm in areas like Denver by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday. This could be a significant, biggest of the season snowstorm for the Front Range. And then by the time we get to Thursday, severe weather returns to the Southern Plains. So we just got done with this big, huge storm on the East Coast. Now we're going to start talking about the next big weather event as the middle of the week approaches.
Okay, Bill, we thank you for that. Next tonight to the 2024 presidential race. A new clash over Social Security. President Biden accusing Donald Trump of suggesting he'd make cuts to the entitlement programs. The Trump campaign firing back tonight, saying Mr. Trump never said that. NBC's Garrett Haake has that story for us tonight.
President Biden ramping up his re-election campaign tonight, attacking Donald Trump in battleground New Hampshire.
Donald Trump said cuts to Social Security and Medicare are on the table again. I'm never going to allow that to happen.
Hitting the former president after he responded to a reporter who suggested something needed to be done about entitlements.
There is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting, and in terms of also the theft and the bad management of entitlements. I don't, necessarily agree with the statement.
The Trump campaign saying he was not talking about cutting benefits, but cutting waste. Mr. Trump just last week posting, Republicans have no plans to cut Social Security. The president today laying out his budget in a show of second-term priorities. The largely symbolic plan would boost spending to $7.3 trillion while raising taxes on the wealthy and corporations. The president calls for restoring the full child tax credit and proposes national paid leave.
Well, it's just about basic fairness. Just basic decency.
Meanwhile, Mr. Trump in battleground Georgia blasting President Biden for saying he regretted using the word illegal to describe the alleged killer of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. Police say the suspect was a Venezuelan migrant who crossed the border illegally 2 years ago.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented.
So you regret using that word?
Yes.
Mr. Trump met with Laken Riley's family before his Georgia rally.
Oh, he was illegal, and I say he was an illegal alien. He shouldn't have been in our country, and he never would have been under the Trump policy.
All right, Garrett Haake joins us tonight. Garrett, I want to put up on the screen now some poll numbers from a recent ABC News poll that was conducted just after the State of the Union. It shows former President Trump leading when it comes to who would do a better job leading the U.S. and also leading on some key issues with the exception of abortion. There's still about 7 to 8 months to go in this campaign. Garrett, do we know how the former president plans to campaign? We know he was sort of laid back, if you will, during the primaries. Is he going to ramp it up, or should voters expect that pace?
I think he's going to ramp it up eventually, Tom, but not in any big hurry. I mean, this is traditionally a period in which the candidates take to focus on fundraising and on building out their campaigns, and nobody needs that more in the modern political era than Donald Trump, whose campaign has been dragged down by his legal costs, the turmoil at the RNC. They just installed new leadership last week. He wants to go more. He wants to do some of these big rallies as we get more into the general election. But right now, they have to restock that war chest, or this is going to be a very short campaign against a Biden operation who, for all of their other problems, has not had any trouble raising money and turning around and spending it.
Garrett Haake for us tonight. Garrett, we thank you for that. As the former president ramps up his attacks on Biden, he's struggling with a demographic that could be decisive in November. Women. Female voters still breaking for Biden in recent polls as Trump faces new fallout in his civil sexual assault and defamation case against E. Jean Carroll. Vaughn Hilliard has the latest.
God bless you all.
Tonight, former President Donald Trump lashing out once again at E. Jean Carroll. A jury found he sexually assaulted her in a department store, then repeatedly defamed her about the allegations. Trump blasting the author in a phone interview with CNBC.
Miss Bergdorf Goodman, a person I never met. I have no idea who she is. I was given a false accusation and had to post a $91 million bond on a false accusation.
This weekend, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who has endorsed Trump, getting into a heated exchange about the case with ABC News' George Stephanopoulos after he showed her video of her 2019 testimony about her own rape.
How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not going to do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting.
Despite the former president's recent success in the polls against Joe Biden, his numbers with women continue to struggle. A Quinnipiac survey found Trump's support among female registered voters has dropped 5% since December to just 36 points, trailing President Biden among women by double digits. Reproductive rights, including IVF and abortion, putting Trump and Republicans on defense in the 2024 race in the wake of that controversial Alabama Supreme Court ruling that endangered IVF procedures. Trump quickly clarifying he supports the treatment.
I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious little beautiful baby. I support it.
But abortion still looming large over the campaign. In his State of the Union address, President Biden predicting the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade will bring Democrats a win in November.
It's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
The issue remaining a top liability for Trump in the general. In a new ABC News Ipsos poll out this weekend, Trump leads Biden on almost all the major issues. But on abortion, Biden takes a lead by 12 points. Now former RNC chair Ronna McDaniel delivering this message to party activists on Friday before stepping down from her post.
We cannot put our head in the sands and ignore abortion and the Dobbs decision.
Okay, with that, Vaughn Hillier joins us now live on set here at Top Story. Vaughn, I want to put up on the screen the last two elections when it comes to female voters and the candidates here. So Hillary Clinton won in 2016, and then Biden won in 2020. Biden actually expanded Clinton's margin with women leading Trump, as you can see there, by 15 points. And now these same issues are coming up again. I would argue almost, 2016 they were pretty high profile, but now very high profile as well, once again. In Trump world, do they realize they have this problem? Are they doing anything to fix it?
Absolutely. Not only was there an expansion in that number from 2016 to 2020, the Dobbs decision came after the 2020 election here. And we have seen Republicans lose in the 2022 midterms, and also when abortion is on the map, Republicans have struggled. And that's where Donald Trump has been quite explicit, saying that Republicans, including himself, should take the issue head on, outwardly suggesting that there should be exceptions in the instances of incest, rape, and the life of the mother, and suggesting that states should find somewhere of common ground, whether it be 15 weeks, 16 weeks, something that a consensus of the public can get behind.
Along this conversation, I was speaking to Jason Miller last week during Super Tuesday. He said the list of potential running mates has expanded for former President Trump. Who are some of the women who you think are now on this list for the former president to possibly run with him in 2024?
Right. It's a list that is getting lengthy. Of course, you've got South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who has been a strong ally of Donald Trump. You have Elise Stefanik, who is a U.S. House member from upstate New York. Donald Trump has suggested that New York could be in play, so it could be appealing for him to come on, bring on a defender like Elise Stefanik. You've got, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene down in Georgia, who Donald Trump has never questioned the loyalty of. In South Carolina, the night of that primary, she was on stage with him and said, "I have no better defender than Marjorie Taylor Greene." Those are just a few of the names, but for Donald Trump, this is a list that is growing and one that he doesn't mind playing with, as all of these Republicans are looking for, vying for his support.
You think Governor Huckabee Sanders is on that list, too?
She would, of course, be on that list, too. Okay. Of course, she defended him in that White House, and, of course, a popular governor in Arkansas.
All right, Vaughn Hillier, we appreciate your reporting, man. Thank you. We want to turn now to the escalating chaos in Haiti. As we've been reporting here in Top Story, days of intense gang violence have paralyzed the island, shutting down ports, police stations, and government buildings. Now, the notorious gang boss leading the rebellion, he's known as Barbecue, that's his name, he's threatening more violence if the current prime minister doesn't step down. NBC's Marissa Parra has more on the ruthless gang leaders' rise to power and what it means for Haiti's future.
To
Tonight, the future of democracy in Haiti at its tipping point as the country, now overrun by gang leaders, teeters on the edge of political chaos. The out-of-control violence escalating over the last week when the same gangs who once fought each other then banded together, attacking airports, police stations, the presidential palace, even prisons, releasing thousands of inmates into the streets. The island nation spiraling into a state of emergency, prompting leaders of Caribbean nations to hold an emergency meeting over the crisis. The man at the center of it all, G9 gang leader Jimmy Cherizier, also known as Barbecue, one of Haiti's most notorious and ruthless gang leaders. Now, one of the most powerful men in the country. Threatening consequences if Haiti's Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, doesn't answer calls to resign. Henry has been marooned in Puerto Rico since last week, unable to land due to threats at the airport. The Haitian gang boss rising to power, once an officer in the Haitian National Police Force, now the face of the rebellion against the government, likening himself to figures like Robin Hood, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Fidel Castro.
It's clear that he has a messianic vision of his role in Haiti. He presents himself as such, and he so far has the means and is prepared to use them.
Haiti has been rattled by devastation, from the catastrophic earthquake of 2010 to the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse 11 years later. Political and social instability in Haiti has created a power vacuum, opening the doors for Barbecue's influence to skyrocket.
The very conditions of poverty and extreme poverty in the slums, to some extent, nurture that kind of gang violence.
The origin of his nickname Barbecue is up for debate. Cherizier says it was his mother's job as a fried chicken vendor that got him his alias. Others claim it comes from his alleged involvement in the 2018 Port-au-Prince massacre that left more than 70 people dead, many burned beyond recognition. The international community ramping up efforts to prevent nationwide pandemonium as President Biden approved a military operation to airlift some of the embassy staff from Haiti over the weekend. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with world leaders at that emergency meeting in Jamaica today. The calls for action growing more urgent. The United Nations reports at least 15,000 people left displaced by the violence in just 1 week.
Marissa Parra joins us now live from Miami tonight. And Marissa, as you mentioned there was that high-level summit today with world leaders, including the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who just wrapped up his comments minutes ago. Do we have any idea of what was discussed?
Well, we know the State Department said earlier that leaders from Caribbean nations, as well as other countries, of course, including the United States, part of what they're trying to find a consensus on today is a plan that would help to not only bring political transitions, but also to support free and fair elections within Haiti. But, Tom, I'll also add that we know Secretary Blinken has been meeting with the United Nations for the humanitarian side of this. The UN really stressing the need to be able to bring in necessities, life necessities, like treatment for things like gunshot wounds and medicine to the people who remain stranded there. Tom?
Okay, Marissa Parra for us. Marissa, we thank you for that. Still ahead, the hunt for a road rage driver in Florida. Dash cam video showing the moment that driver appears to deliberately slam into a motorcycle rider. How that rider is doing tonight as they search for a suspect. In the UK, they celebrated Mother's Day on Sunday, and it's one Princess Kate will never forget. She released this photo showing her with her kids, but editors and fans online soon realizing the image was doctored. The princess forced to issue an apology as speculation swirls about her health and why she edited the photo. For more on the photo posted by Princess Kate and what it means for the royal family, I want to bring in Patrick Whitty. He's a photo editor who's been featured in the New York Times and National Geographic, and Katie Nichol, NBC News royal contributor and a royal editor for Vanity Fair. I thank you both for being here tonight. Patrick, I'm going to start with you. To the naked eye, really the first time people saw this photo, they really didn't see anything wrong with this initially, but from a professional photo editor perspective, the editing seems to be glaring. How do you think this could get so widely distributed?
I think, just like you said, at first glance, it's a lovely photo. It's a great family picture. It's really cute. Everybody looks great. And at that point, you start to sort of zoom in on things and you take a closer look and you look around, you start looking at edges and details, and the picture just starts to fall apart, and it's a total disaster.
Patrick, you know, you're obviously a professional, but you could see this right away, or you had to sort of zoom in, as you say?
No, I probably would have just swiped on by and not really paid it any attention. However, if I were working at a wire agency and I was going to distribute this to millions of clients and millions of people, I would take a closer look at it. It has to be scrutinized since it's a handout photo. So you can't just blindly release photos out without taking a closer look. And when you do take a closer look, it does become really obvious that there's a lot of problems with the picture.
So, Katie, do we know why the Royals do this? Listen, we all use filters, right, when we're editing photos ourselves, but this seemed to take on a different level, like moving hands and hair. Any idea why they had to do this?
Well, the palace is saying that they were minor adjustments, and you're quite right. I mean, who puts an image out on social media without putting a filter on it, without making a tweak? You know, we're in this image of absolute perfection in the digital age, and I think, you know, even going back centuries, royal portraits, royal pictures, were often airbrushed. They were made to look better, often because you had an old king or queen on the throne. So this is nothing new, and I think it's really the level of enhancement that has gone on. And clearly, for those 5 or 6 international picture agencies that made a pretty unusual decision to pull a royal portrait from its database and stop distributing it, they obviously felt that there was quite severe digital manipulation. Now, this rattled on for the best part of 24 hours before eventually the princess took to Twitter to issue a statement explaining that she had used some digital editing, that she does do that as an amateur photographer, and to apologise for any confusion. But because we haven't seen the original image, knowing just how digitally edited this image has been leaves us back into that very dangerous sphere of speculation.
And Katie, that leads me to my next question, because Patrick, you posted on X, formerly Twitter, the edits you saw in this photo, and I'm going to put it up on the screen for our viewers. You found way more edits than even that's out there in some of the publications right now and some of the news sites. This is just from zooming in, you notice sort of these discrepancies?
Yeah, I think if you look at a high-res file, you start to see these discrepancies. And there's a couple of spots right away that stood out to me as problematic. One is Princess Charlotte's left hand. It's right at her sleeve. It just starts to disappear, and it's pretty glaring. And once you point it out, it becomes more obvious that something's wrong with the picture. The other part that's even more troubling for me is on Princess Kate's zipper. As it goes down, it abruptly ends and then starts at another position, which clearly means something has been put on top of it.
Yeah, right, Patrick, thanks for pointing those out. And the reason why we're spending so much time on this is obviously the royal family. There's so much curiosity. But, Katie, when we look at those edits now, I mean, you are going to a much different level. I mean, I don't even know if you can call that amateur anymore. I guess maybe amateur because the mistakes were discovered, but that's a lot of editing. And for what purpose?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? As I said, just how much editing has gone into the image. And because we haven't seen the original, we simply don't know. Now, I've had guidance from Kensington Palace today saying that they were minor adjustments. So we're not talking superimposing Catherine into the image, which is what's been speculated online because she's allegedly not well enough to be in a picture.
Katie, yeah, that is the question that we have to sort of put to rest. I mean, we don't think this picture was just created by AI, right?
No, I don't believe it was created by AI. I think it was some amateur sort of enhancement. Obviously, Catherine's, you know, I don't know what she uses, what technology she uses, but look, she's a good photographer. We've become very used to her taking photographs of her children, so she's going to know how to do those touch-ups. She's going to know how to do those edits.
So this is kind of her hobby. She loves to. I didn't know this. She loves taking photos, and then she has a lot of experience, I guess, editing photos. We do think she's the one who made these edits.
Well, yeah, we understood. She has said that she was the one that made those edits, and as an amateur photographer, she does do a bit of digital retouching. I think the issue here is that in the context of the big hashtag Where is Kate, which has dominated social media for over the past week, ever since William pulled out of his godfather's memorial service. I think this story has almost taken on a life of its own because it feeds into that frenzy of speculation about her whereabouts. A woman who is one of the most photographed women in the world, who hasn't been seen in public since Christmas Day. I mean, I think people also have to just remind themselves that she may be royal and extraordinary as that is, but she is a young mother of 3 people who is recovering from a very serious surgery and had made it very clear that she was going to stay out of the spotlight. Possibly, the biggest mistake here was actually issuing a photograph at all if she wasn't ready to do it.
Katie, I was going to ask you, does this hurt her credibility moving forward after the Where is Kate and now this, I don't even want to know if we can call it a fiasco, but just the editing, the uncovering of the editing of the photo?
I hope it doesn't erase the credibility, because I think the Prince and Princess of Wales have worked really hard to engage with their online audience, to be very authentic, to be very real. They know that we live in a very, very different age, in this digital age. They've had to embrace social media. So I don't think people should start going through their reels and thinking this is AI, this is fake, this is not authentic. I think on this occasion, it was just a mishap. Possibly she's not operating at her best. She's recovering from an operation.
Right.
But I don't think we're all being duped into something sinister here.
Patrick, you're the photo expert here. If Kate is this sort of shutterbug, she has this photography hobby as well, do you think someone like that could make these edits, or does this look like it's something much more sophisticated?
No, I think it's something she could easily do. It'd be tough to do from a phone, but I think if she pulled the photograph onto a computer and started, doing some manipulating and some retouching, that's something easily someone could do. But I agree. I don't think it's anything sinister. I guess my biggest question is why is it necessary to do anything to the picture at all? And the only way I think they can get out of this really is to release all the photos that they took to make this one image, because I do think the image is legitimate. It's just not that particular moment. I think it's a combination of many pictures.
Photo editor Patrick Whitty, Katie Nichol, from NBC News, a Royal contributor. We thank you both for your time. We're back now with Top Stories newsfeed. We begin with the manhunt for a driver in a road rage incident in Central Florida. Dashcam video from a truck driver shows a motorcycle and a car passing at a high rate of speed. The car then swerves onto the motorcyclist, sending him flying off the road. That driver fleeing the scene immediately. The rider was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Sacramento health officials issuing a warning after a possible measles exposure at a local medical center. UC Davis Health says it began contacting about 300 people who were in its emergency room at the same time as a child who was being evaluated for measles. The Sacramento Public Health Department recommended that anyone possibly exposed should monitor themselves for illness. And more than 63,000 baby swings recalled over suffocation concerns. Federal regulators saying the Nova infant swing manufactured by Jewel Baby has an incline that isn't safe for infant sleep, despite the product being marketed that way. Affected models were sold at Walmart from November 2022 to November 2023. No injuries have been reported. All right, we're going to head overseas now to a story sending shockwaves across the UK. Charles Spencer, Princess Diana's only brother and the godson of Queen Elizabeth, publishing a new book. It's called A Very Private School, which chronicles what he describes as years of abuse. Spencer sat down at his family's estate for his first interview about the book with our very own Cynthia McFadden, who joins us now. Cynthia, the story is, you just can't even believe it.
It's really quite extraordinary. Charles Spencer is the first to say that he grew up with enormous privilege, telling me it's important to him that it not seem he's looking for sympathy. Rather, he hopes by coming forward with the alarming details of the abuse he and others suffered as children, he hopes that can help promote healing and sound an alarm. We want to warn you, some of what he has to say is deeply upsetting.
I'm not asking for any sympathy, but writing this book was unbelievably difficult, with screaming nightmares and depression in its weirdest forms, and times when I just thought, I can't do this.
Charles Spencer's book, A Very Private School, chronicles the 5 years he spent at Madewell Hall, years in which he said he and many of his classmates suffered terrible abuse.
This is not a bunch of mid-teen, late-teen kids going through a rough school. This is children being sexually, physically, and emotionally abused on a daily basis. That has to affect you. You either bottle it up and try and soldier on, or you go ahead emotionally hobbled for the rest of your life.
It took a lot of courage to write this.
I don't honestly feel I had a choice. It was a book that demanded it be written.
It all began this day.
I was 8, being sent off to a brutal place by myself, saying goodbye to Diana, who I grew up with.
Choking back tears, headed to a place he can't bear to remember, but will never forget.
We were like prisoners. We were prey to very bad people's worst instincts.
He says that the worst of those bad people was the school's headmaster, Mr. Porch.
In my view, a pedophile and a sadist. And he staffed the school himself with either people who were going along with what he was doing or were going to be mute about it.
What was going on, he says, was not just bleak, but often criminal. We sat down with Spencer, a best-selling author and historian at Althorp, home to his ancestors since 1508. It's surrounded by over 10,000 acres of farm and parkland. Inside, priceless paintings by Van Dyck and others. It is also his famous sister's burial place. So much of what you write about, I think, will leave readers speechless. So contrary to everything we think about the privileged life. All the money, the home, being the godson of the queen, which you are.
I told a friend of mine about this recently, and he said, I just can't believe you weren't protected, as if coming from this incredibly privileged background somehow would be a protection against pedophiles and sadists. But there is no protection against those sorts of people.
Especially when secrecy is paramount.
The most important code of this very flawed regime was never to tell tales.
The secrets the 75 boys at Madewell, ages 8 to 13, kept were dark.
Every week, at least half a dozen would be whipped with a cane, and we all had showers together after sports, and you could see the blood, the split skin.
How could the parents not have asked questions?
I have a theory. So the old money there sort of thought, well, this is going to make my son tougher and more successful. And then people who had made money more recently thought, well, this is what they do, and we want to be part of this set.
Abuse came from some of the teachers, too.
There was one particularly violent master, and he caught me by myself in a changing room going out to play cricket. And he just grabbed me and threw me over his knee. And cricket boots have spikes on them, metal spikes. And he beat me and beat me.
But what has truly haunted him was being sexually abused at the age he was in this portrait, 11. The predator, he says, a young woman, a member of the staff, charged with taking care of the young boys.
She would come round to my bed when others were asleep and kiss me, you know, French kiss, for ages. And it was so, if I was 17, 18, it would be a different thing, but I was 11. It was so confusing.
He says kissing became more intense fondling, and that she was sexually abusing several other boys and having intercourse with at least 2 of them.
I mean, I'm embarrassed to say it was thrilling, especially in an emotional desert. But of course, it was terrible. She pretended she was going to have to leave early to keep us all on tenterhooks, really. And I remember cutting myself as a sort of, I thought if I hurt myself enough, then God will let her stay.
When he was 12, he says, and traveling with his mother in Italy, he secretly acted out the final scene of the sexual abuse from the year before.
I had not had sexual intercourse with the predator, and I took my pocket money and I lost my virginity to a prostitute, and at the age of 12, and I see that as the completion of what she had done to me.
Who's the first person you ever told what had happened to you?
A therapist when I was about 42.
You kept this inside?
Yes. And he said, whisper to me one thing you've never told anyone. And I said I was sexually abused by a woman when I was a child.
He dedicates the book to Buzz.
That was the nickname I had in my family before I went to Madewell. And that was the boy who had part of him snuffed out during those 5 years at the school. So I wanted to reconnect with the carefree, happy little guy I was before I was sent to this place.
Madewell Hall is taking his charges seriously and told NBC News in a statement they have reached out to local authorities charged with protecting children, and they will follow their guidance on what we do from this point. We would encourage anyone with similar experiences to come forward and contact those officials or the police.
Cynthia, you know, in the report, you sort of touch upon the families that didn't have a lot of money who turned a blind eye because they wanted their children to sort of go to school with these families of wealth. But what about the families that had money or that were able to do this and still turned a blind eye?
Well, you know, Charles Spencer says this is just the way it was done back then. It was a sort of holdover from 150 years ago. Children were to be seen and not heard. They were not encouraged to talk to their parents. They weren't encouraged to eat with their parents. And he said, you know, it was really a class thing. This is just how it rolled. I said, you never told your father? His mother had left the home when he was 2. He said, it never occurred to me to have that kind of a conversation with my own father.
It's also sad. Cynthia, we thank you for the story, and the book is coming out very soon. Coming up next, scary moments on a flight over New Zealand. Passengers and crew sent flying to the ceiling after a, quote, strong shake. At least 50 people hurt. The investigation now underway into what caused that scary moment. Okay, we are back now with Top Stories Global Watch, and we begin with devastating floods and landslides that have killed at least 26 people in northern Indonesia. The torrential rain causing roads to buckle, washing away cars, residents digging through thick mud that damaged homes and businesses. Indonesia's disaster response agency saying at least 39,000 people have been affected, warning the death toll could climb as rescuers reach the affected area. At least 50 people are hurt after a LATAM Airlines flight dropped in midair. Video taken inside the plane shows the harrowing moments after the Boeing 787 experienced what the airline called a strong shake while flying from Sydney to Auckland, New Zealand. Passengers and crew members reported flying into the roof of the plane. Of the 10 passengers and 3 crew members sent to the hospital, 1 is actually in serious condition tonight. An investigation is now underway. And a new report revealing a secret meeting between former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro. The BBC reporting that Johnson talked about the need for free and fair elections in Venezuela, as well as support for Ukraine and respect for neighboring country Guyana's border. Johnson's office saying the trip was not paid for by either government. When we come back, an inspiring story about paying it forward back here at home. A black couple renting their house to Chinese immigrants more than 80 years ago when no one else in Southern California would, giving that family a shot at their own American dream. Tonight, how that family is now repaying the favor of a lifetime. We'll explain. Finally tonight, a powerful story first reported by our partners at NBC Asian American and NBC News Digital. 2 California families are changing the conversation about home ownership and the American dream, showing us the real dream is not about owning the home, but passing it on. Elwin Lopez shares their story.
The historic Hotel del Coronado anchors the oceanside California town that shares its name.
It's still here.
It's still here, and it's still fabulous.
A lasting symbol of a bygone era, catering to the wealthy and the well-known. It was built in the late 1800s by thousands of workers, among them Gus Thompson, Bollinger Gardner Kemp's great-grandfather.
He started businesses of his own, and even my great-grandmother Emma had a cafe and bakery.
Gus Thompson was born into slavery, enduring a life in the Jim Crow South for decades before moving west, later becoming a pioneer in California at a time when the state's black population was less than 1%. And about 3 blocks from the resort he helped build, Gus and his wife Emma lived here in this home with their 3 kids.
This is unbelievable. This has been here since the late 1800s?
Correct. 1895 to be exact.
For years, Coronado resident Kevin Ashley has been tracing the Thompsons' footsteps, curating an exhibit about the city's hidden Black history.
And just the idea that there was a thriving African-American community between 1890 and 1920.
Was that shocking to you?
Hugely shocking.
Next to the Thompsons' home stands a small apartment building. It was once Gus's stable, where she would welcome people in that no one else would.
The livery stable was the only place for several decades where an African-American could rent a bed to sleep in Coronado. Their old original house, they usually rented out to immigrants.
One of them, Chinese-American gardener Lloyd Dong.
He was having trouble. There wasn't a lot available.
His son, Ron, was just a toddler at the time.
Gets to Gus Thompson's livery stables, and he finds out that the house next door is not being used by Gus anymore.
The Thompsons rented the main house to the Dongs, one they eventually bought, an act that then defied the exclusionary housing practices and gave the Dongs a foothold to start building their own American dream.
So the Thompsons really gave them a chance that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Absolutely.
It's a chance the Dongs have never forgotten, and the favor their family is about to return.
That SDSU has received a new $5 million gift in support of our Black Resource Center, which will now be named.
And they said, we're going to sell the property, and we're going to give our proceeds to the Black Resource Center of San Diego State University in the name of Gus and Emma Thompson.
What was your reaction to that?
Tears.
Tears?
100%.
The roots of an American dream so deep it turns strangers into family. Now those same roots are still giving for decades to come.
Paying it forward, shall we say, is just the icing on the cake. It's a beautiful story, and maybe it's one that the world needs to hear.
And more than ever.
And more than ever.
We thank Elwyn and all the families involved in telling that story. And we thank you for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Yamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Staples Center in Los Angeles. Tom Yamas.
Welcome to ABC News Live, special coverage of the Kobe Bryant Memorial celebrating a legend. More than 250,000 fans have passed through the Staples Center where we are right now to honor the NBA great. Today, 20,000 ticket holders, a sold-out event, will gather in the house that Kobe built. And I invite you to look at your calendar right now. February 24th, 2020, 2/24/2020, a symbolic date for Kobe's wife, Vanessa Bryant. 2 representative of her daughter, Gianna, who also died and wore that number when she played basketball, and 24, one of Kobe's numbers on the Lakers. Then 2020, 20 years on the Lakers, 20 years married to Vanessa. The atmosphere is somber out here, and to be honest, it is a little sad. But it's also electrifying to see what Kobe meant to this community. The details of this ceremony are still a secret. We have no idea what to expect today, but like Kobe Bryant's play, we are expecting something special. You're looking live at an overhead shot right now of the Staples Center, the place Kobe Bryant helped make legendary. Thousands are arriving today to say goodbye and to pay tribute to Kobe, the NBA All-Star and 5-time world champion, who along with his 13-year-old daughter Gianna and 7 others were killed in a helicopter crash just last month. Today, Los Angeles is mourning and celebrating the lives of all of those lost as the investigation into this crash continues. Since his death, tributes have popped up all over the world, showing the impact he had not only on this game, but as a father. After leaving professional basketball, the superstar did not slow down, coaching his daughter's team, writing children's books, and making a documentary about the game he loved that won him an Oscar. Joining me now with more on Kobe's legacy, my ESPN colleague and host of The Jump, Rachel Nichols. And Rachel, I know this has got to be a tough day for you because as your career got started, so did Kobe Bryant's, and you spent a lot of that career covering him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Kobe came onto the scene as a high schooler. He wasn't loved by a lot of the people ahead of him in the NBA. It was an interesting dynamic. We think of Kobe now as this statesman, this presence, part of the NBA fabric. But at that point, a lot of people in the league thought of him as this punk kid who thought he could do everything. And there was some pushback here on the Lakers, hazing his rookie year. People who thought, you know, they used to have beer in the locker room here after games, but he was 18 years old. So they couldn't have beer in the room when Kobe Bryant was there. So they thought Kobe Bryant's responsible for taking our beer away. I mean, it was sometimes as specific as that. So he didn't have the easiest entry. And that was during my time early as a reporter. I was young, female, covering sports at a time where it wasn't as accepted as fortunately it is today. And I remember times where people wouldn't talk to me, things that real hard time with stories. And I came here to do a story on Kobe Bryant. And frankly, I expected him to kind of be the same, to brush me off, to not really give me any time. And he sat down with me for 45 minutes, and we sat on a bench, and I will remember it like it was yesterday. We just talked, and he was very open about the experiences he was having here, the tough time during his first year in the league. And at the end of it, I was telling him a little bit about me and what was hard for me, and he looked at me and he just said, he's like, you know what? We're going to be okay. And he said, they don't know what's coming. And I've repeated that story so many times over the years because it speaks to this amazing confidence he had that he knew what he could do and it was going to come through. And boy, in his case, wasn't it true? We didn't know what was coming.
Right, he evolved as a player and as a man, and he was able to have a career outside of basketball. Some have said this was, the day that he passed away was the saddest day in the history of the NBA. How has it impacted the game this season and you think going forward?
Look, it is part of everything. You know, every game for a week or two after Kobe's passing wasn't even really about basketball. It was about Kobe, and there's so many games now that are still like that. The Lakers are in such a weird position for the rest of this season because they go into other cities as visitors on the road, and teams want to use that as a time to have their Kobe tribute. So the Lakers have been part of multiple Kobe tributes around the league for weeks and weeks, sort of emotionally being drawn back into this. We had the All-Star game that was completely dedicated to Kobe. In fact, the two teams, instead of the players wearing their own numbers, they wore number 24 for Kobe and number 2 for his daughter Gianna. We expect this NBA Finals to be a lot about Kobe. And then Kobe was scheduled to be up for induction into the Hall of Fame this fall, which is sort of just staggering when you think of how close he missed it, that we're never going to hear that speech. So they have nominated him posthumously. He is expected to be enshrined there, but that will also be about Kobe this fall. So it is just such a presence looming over the entire league, the sport, and of course the city.
Finally, Rachel, you know, we don't know what to expect today. We do think it's going to be something special. Kobe deserves that. And there's so many people who loved him inside this league, in this city, all over the world. What are you going to be thinking about as you watch the ceremony today?
I just think that power he had to affect so many different kinds of people's lives. We expect some pretty heavy hitter speakers today, pretty heavy hitter performers, and it just speaks to how many different people from different walks of life felt that Kobe was theirs. I mean, you really can't think of Los Angeles for the last 2 decades without thinking about Kobe Bryant. Is there a person that you would think of specifically? Acting, Hollywood? Well, that's a sign, right? It's Kobe that wore that name across his chest. So you can't talk about LA without talking about Kobe. And you can't talk about the fabric of really this country without talking about Kobe for the last 2 decades. He was just kind of always there for so many different people. And I think that's what we're going to see today.
All right, Rachel Nichols, we thank you so much for that. And we'll be thinking about you today as we watch the coverage as well. Post NBA Live, Kobe Bryant enjoyed being a coach and coaching his daughter's basketball team. He really felt sports was an analogy for life. Here he is in his own words talking about his coaching and parenting philosophy.
The way I share my knowledge of the game with my team in particular is just through experience. I don't spend a lot of time talking to them about stories or the value of hard work. We just simply live it, we embody it, and then it becomes something that they just grow up accustomed to. You know, the respect for the game, the respect for each other. I mean, these are things that we just do, and through doing that, it becomes something that eventually becomes a part of who they are as athletes and young people. And for us as coaches and as parents, it's our job to try to spark that imagination within our children. Instead of, putting her under a structure and saying, okay, you got to make this amount of shots or that amount of shots, just go out and have fun with them. Right? Just be imaginative. Give her the ball and say, listen, you got 10 seconds left. I'll count down from 10. Hit a game-winning shot. Things like that. I think it's extremely important.
Home loans at Unity Homes. Start investing in your future today in partnership with ABSA. Option 1. You could either continue making payments to your landlord, or Option 2. You could start making payments towards your own home. How can we help you? Consider our one-bedroom unit selling at 5.9 million shillings. You just need to make 10% down payment as well as closing costs and bank fees, same as a normal mortgage facility. At a fixed interest rate of 9.5%, it will be 49,000 Kenya shillings per month for principal and interest, with an estimated rental income of 35,000 Kenya shillings. High quality service. Unity's and ABSA's teams will help you every step of the way. What are our clients saying? There are no penalties for early payment, and at half the interest of a personal loan makes this affordable. The quality of the house is great. Unity Homes' track record of handling houses also made me comfortable with the loan. Other benefits. Unity Homes is the first developer who can offer mortgages off-plan. You get the same discount as cash buyers worth 1.4 million shillings. You also get access to units that otherwise would only be to cash buyers. Unity Homes guarantees the delivery of the unit with a Tier 1 bank performance guarantee. Start your home ownership journey today. Visit us in Tatu City. We are open every day, including weekends. Contact us anytime. Call or WhatsApp Martha via 0701 550 550 or visit www.unityhomes.co.ke. Unity Homes.
What we're here to do is to help children be better, to teach them how to think the game, to teach them how to process the game, to help them get better as athletes so they can feel more confident about themselves as people. That's what we're there for. And it's important to find a coach that understands that understands the connectivity between life and sport. Sport is the greatest metaphor that we have for life, and it's important that we treat it as such.
So Kobe Bryant, they're showing that there was life after basketball. It's something he worked hard at. He did have a second act. He was possibly working on a third act as well. Joining me now is co-host of ESPN's First Take, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen, thanks so much for joining us. You knew Kobe, you covered him. He was a friend. What's going to be going through your mind today as you watch the ceremony?
Just incredible sadness again, knowing him and knowing how much he was looking forward to the future, knowing all that he had already accomplished, the championship, the All-Star appearances, the league MVPs, 2 Olympic gold medals, all of that stuff. It was all behind him. He had done it. He had conquered every demon that, real and imagined. And his mentality was, I'm 41 years of age. I've got a wonderful wife. I've got wonderful children, a wonderful family, and I've got my whole life to look forward to. And the only expectations that I have to concern myself with are those that I put on my shoulders, because I've already conquered what everybody else has placed on me. And so that was his mentality. The last time I saw him, which was New Year's Eve, that's what we talked about, and I knew what he was looking forward to, and just to be here now, more more than a month later to know that he's gone, it's pretty devastating.
You know, explain something to our viewers. A lot of people who are watching us all over the world today are sports fans. They were Kobe fans. But there are also people who may not understand why so many people have come out here. 250,000 since he died, 20,000, a sold-out stadium here. I've covered a lot of events. I covered Michael Jackson's death and other famous people's death. I don't know if I've seen anything like this in a mourning period for as long. What did he mean? It was more than basketball.
Well, it was more in basketball, and obviously to the basketball community, it was about that just as much as it was about anything else, because no matter what level of greatness you have inside of you and what you exude off the court, the first order of business to athletes and the people within the profession is to handle your business on the court. He clearly did that with the success that he had, but then he also stepped back and reached back to help guys in terms of their off the court endeavors, some of the aspirations that they may have had, what it would take in order for them to achieve their goals. I remember when he went to the Beijing Olympics in 2008, you see a lot of these guys speaking about branding and about elevating themselves above the court and really solidifying a future for themselves that extended beyond the court of play. He constantly talked to them about that, was always willing to give guidance and support. Plus, he would train with some of them in the offseason or train them and talk to them about the ins and outs of what it takes to be successful. And a lot of guys realized he was a willing teacher, a willing mentor. He was somebody that felt it was his mission to give back and to assist in making the world a better place. And then when you see, particularly in this day and age, how he was a girl dad and how he loved women's sports, particularly the WNBA. His daughter talked about being a star and becoming an All-American at UConn before she was ultimately hell-bent on going to the WNBA. And the way he embraced that and was willing to tutor her and so many other young ladies to sort of ascend to a land that people thought was designated for just the guys. He was like, no, not at all. This is my legacy, and I love every moment of it. And so when you hear those kind of stories and you see evidence that he was actually living it, not just talking about it, it just makes it that much more painful that at age 41, as brilliant as he was, speaking 6 different languages, being as intelligent and as accomplished as he was, for him to have his whole life ahead of him and for it to be gone at age 41, it's just tragic.
Stephen, finally on that point, you talked about sort of how he's a Renaissance man. He was also incredibly disciplined. He would go out with players, but then he'd wake them up at 5 a.m., he would say, to make sure they were there practicing with him. Do you remember any stories of just his discipline, how he's constantly lived a life that was always hard work?
There's no particular story. It was his life. He was a guy that, you have a lot of people, a vast majority of the NBA, their season ends in mid-April. Because of the success that he enjoyed, it customarily ended in late May and a lot of times June, because he went to 7 NBA finals. He won 5. That was his life. And so you've got guys that literally would have their season end in April, and they'd start training in the off season in the summertime or whatever, and they get in their workouts. Kobe Bryant would take a week, 2 weeks off max, even when he won the championship, and would be out there training and preparing himself for the next season, the next conquest, because he knew he was the marquee. He knew people were going to come after him, and he knew that he needed to be ready to live up to that. But it was also applicable to everything he did. He's called me on several occasions. What the hell are you still doing asleep? Why are you not up? If I was sick, he'd call or text me, why the hell ain't you on TV? You got a job to do. If that was me, you wouldn't accept that. Get your behind up, get ready to work.
He wanted you at the top of your game.
Even today, as we sit up here and we talk, in the Staples Center as the backdrop, getting ready to celebrate the life of Kobe Bryant. I remember I was just telling my sister just the other day, Kobe would be like, where the hell you think you're going? You ain't going inside there. You need to be on TV. That's what people expect. You got a job to do. Do your job. Yeah. He was very, very, very big on that. That's what I remember.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll be thinking about you throughout the ceremony. Stephen A. Smith. And earlier today, I spoke with ESPN senior writer Ramona Shelburne about the legacy that Kobe leaves in the NBA. Ramona, you covered Kobe Bryant. We spoke the night that this happened. What does today mean for you?
Well, look, it's been a month since he passed away, and it's just as shocking today as it was a month ago, right? Like, I still remember where I was, how I heard, who I called. I remember calling you on the phone. Doesn't that feel like yesterday?
It does.
I mean, I was driving from the crash site to the Mamba Academy out there in Thousand Oaks, and I kind of, it's like I know how to get there, but I had to like put it in ways because my brain was so like overloaded by the shock of this. And so I think today is really a day that this starts to feel real. starts to feel like there's some acceptance that can happen. We've all done a lot of processing, and I know I was here the whole first week, and it was like my family is Jewish, right? And when somebody in our religion dies, like you sit shiva for them. You spend a week and you just get around with your family and friends and you share stories and you talk about them. That's what Los Angeles has been doing for a month, and that's what the world has been doing for a month. But that whole first week here, man, it was like a bubble that we couldn't really get out of. This whole plaza was 250,000 people came through this plaza. They packed up all the stuff to give it to the Bryant family. It took 37 boxes of shipping containers to fill it all up. I mean, it's the magnitude of the grief that is felt in this city is enormous, and I think today will be helpful to people in a way of contextualizing it, giving people some peace and some acceptance.
You know, Ramona, tens of thousands of people came out here to the Staples Center after this happened. 20,000 coming today. They've blocked off all the streets around the Staples Center, but we've been driving around. We've been seeing people in the Lakers gear, decorating their cars with Kobe memorabilia. I don't want to say it's strange because, we know how big sports are, but it sort of transcends sports in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. I mean, I was talking to this guy, Lee Zeidman. He runs AEG, he runs Staples Center. And before they set this up, they kind of studied other similar events. And he goes, there's really no other similar event. He goes, the closest thing that they could find was when Princess Di died. And, there was like 300,000 people around the streets of London when she was laid to rest. I think that no venue they found would have been big enough. I think there's so many people in Los Angeles around the world that want to be here that you could have filled the Coliseum, you could have filled the Rose Bowl, you could have filled all the streets, you could have filled Staples Center, the Forum, any venue you name in Los Angeles, you could have filled it. And they had to make a decision about where it should be. And Staples Center, this is the house that Kobe built, right? This is last time I was here with him. His jerseys were getting retired, and the time before that, it was when he scored 60 points in his last game. It's perfect. I wish everybody could be here because I think that's what people want to do. But I'm glad that it's going to be broadcast everywhere. I don't think many people are going to be at work today, huh?
All right. Especially not here. Finally, Ramona, can you remember your last conversation with him and what you guys talked about?
Yeah, I actually saw him out at the Mamba Academy, and he was doing an event with young girls, and just the way he talked to them. And then we just caught up, right? Like I just had my son. He was a few months old, no, maybe 6, 7 months old at that point. I was showing him baby pictures. He was showing me pictures of his girls, right? And he was so proud of his girls, not just Gigi, okay, Natalia, Bianca, Capri, we were just two parents showing each other's pictures, and that's what I think is the hardest part right now. Is for me, I'm 40, he was 41. We kind of grew up together, I remember when he took Brandy to the prom, right? I was in high school when that happened, and so it's like you see somebody who has the same kind of trajectory in your life, and I waited later in life to have children of my own, and it was like I enjoy you can't imagine life before it, and I feel like Kobe kind of waited later in his life to enjoy that family that he had built, right? That he had created. He was so happy when I last saw him, and so I think that's what I'm going to hold on to. It's just knowing he had a lot more to do. He had a lot more to say, but he was happy.
My conversation earlier today with Ramona Shelburne from ESPN. Joining me now with more on what we can expect in today's service is my colleague TJ Holmes. Now, TJ, I say that, but we really don't know what to expect today.
They have kept this thing very close to the chest, and why not, right? Don't get so much out there. They were able to control the narrative, and actually everybody's going to be surprised to a certain degree to see what we see in here. But of course, all eyes are on Vanessa Bryant. Is she going to show up? If she does, is she going to speak? Will the kids be there? Will they take the stage? People are just looking to embrace them in a major way. She has not made a public appearance since the accident, since that crash a month ago, put out some statements on Instagram, but everybody is just really wanting to embrace her, but wanting to see if she shows up today. All eyes will be on that.
What we do know, though, is there's some symbolism on the ticket prices and also the date of today.
It was kind of cool how they did this, right? February 24th, 2020. That's 2/24/2020. 2 was the number Gianna wore. 24, of course, the number that Kobe spent the last 10 years of his career in, and then 20. He spent 20 years with the Lakers. So symbolism there. All the tickets were $24.02 or $224. Yeah. So yeah, symbolism in numbers, everything today. And I know you saw and you've been standing out here, but all of downtown Los Angeles has been kind of a memorial since the accident. Right? I was here that whole week, and purple lights, buildings lit up, and his name. But today, everyone has surrounded this place. It looks like everybody's giving downtown and Staples Center some kind of collective hug almost, just in all the jerseys. It looks like they're here for a game. almost, right? People wearing their uniforms, wearing their Kobe Bryant jerseys, but it's supposed to be a celebration today.
Yeah,
So.
and we actually are just getting our first images inside the Staples Center right now. We have a monitor over here, TJ. I want you to take a look at it. And it is kind of what you said. It is a collective hug around the city of Los Angeles today. When I came out here, it was somber. It's sad, but it is electrifying to see the people wear the Kobe gear, to be excited to show their support. And we saw that every time we came out here. I mean, the memorials were huge. Ramona was just telling me it was 37 truckloads of memorabilia they filled that surrounded the Staples Center in honor of Kobe Bryant. And I've sort of been saying this all morning, but he did transcend sports. He's somebody who he played here, but people came to watch him because they could forget about their lives for a little bit. They could forget about whatever stress, and Kobe, a champion, was going to win for them.
He put on a show every single night. He understood that. We have to remember now these huge personalities and these huge talents. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, right? They hold these places, but right in between those two, that era was owned by Kobe Bryant. It's not just because of his talent, but his charisma, that smile, how he could market himself around the world, really. And that's what people were drawn. The talent is one thing; it speaks for itself. But to your point, yes, he was so much bigger than this game, and was getting bigger in some ways, it seems, after his playing career. We always keep talking about the Oscar, but he was a best-selling author. He had the Mamba Foundation, what he was doing with women's sports. He just seemed like he was almost just getting started, even though we've been watching him for 20 years in his career.
And we were just talking during the last piece that you said that you had a chance to interview him back in 2016. And you remember that last conversation you had with him?
I do. He was being honored at the ESPYs, and I was talking to him afterwards, and I wrapped up with this. I said, "Yeah, your wife now, she's pregnant with you guys' third." I said, "Yeah, third girl." I said, "Man, what's going on with you? Somebody punishing you? You got 3 girls running." And he said, "Man, daddy's girls." He just lit up and said it several times. Daddy's girls, daddy's girls. And then he said, "Well, they're all going to play soccer," was what he said. But he was just so excited, and he lit up in a way that you can't fake. And you saw it as soon as you started talking about those girls, daddy's girls. And now, of course, one of his girls being celebrated here with him today. All eyes waiting to see if his family is going to show up, his wife and those 3 daughters of his now.
No, that is a big part of that, and actually leads us to our next segment now with Kana Whitworth. TJ, thanks so much.
See you,
yeah, the death of Kobe Bryant and his daughter, along with 7 others, was shocking, mostly for his wife, Vanessa Bryant. Kana Whitworth joins me now with how she's been dealing with this tragedy. And Kana, we were talking about this before we started this broadcast today, because it is a major part of what happened here. You can't stop and not think about Vanessa Bryant. She's now raising those other daughters by herself. She lost one of her daughters and her husband, and those Instagram posts have been so emotional to read.
Yeah, Tom, of course, we are both parents, and that was something that struck us as well, is how is Vanessa doing? Today is about honoring Kobe and Gigi, of course, but our hearts go out to Vanessa and her 3 daughters. And when she first posted on Instagram, she said that she was really hesitant to do so. She was hesitant to put her feelings out there, but that she decided to write about it in case somebody else might be going through something similar. She wanted to see if she could help anybody out there when she started to express her feelings. And she said in her Instagram post that it's like she just can't come to terms with it. Her body will not allow her to realize that they are gone. And as she's trying to process the death and the loss of Kobe, she said, my body just will not let me understand that my Gigi will never come back to me. It's not fair. She also said, I'm so mad. And how can you not relate to that? And then she went on to say that she had to be there, of course, for her 3 daughters, to raise her 3 daughters. And on Valentine's Day, she posted a picture of her and Kobe. She called him her forever Valentine. She also said that apparently Valentine's Day was his favorite holiday, something that you might not think or might not, of course, know about Kobe Bryant. And most recently, she posted a picture of a tattoo. It's a tattoo on World Cup champ Sydney Leroux, and it's the number 2. Now that, of course, is Gigi's number, but that is also the number that Sydney wears as well. And Tom, the theme of tattoos is running strong. I read a report that there's even a tattoo artist here in Los Angeles who is booked through the end of the year. That is something that people are doing to honor Kobe. People are mourning in all different ways, and we can only imagine how Vanessa feels today. Our hearts go out to her as she tries to move on with her life, raise her girls. Of course, Tom, they have a 7-month-old. They have a baby girl who will not really, know her father the way that many of us do. And it's certainly hard to think about, because at the end of the day, there is a mom who lost her baby and lost her husband, and she has to figure out how to move on.
No, you're so right, Kana, and we don't even know if Vanessa Bryant will be here, and you and I were speaking about this, and that's okay if she's not here, because this is maybe the lowest point, without a doubt, in her life, and yet she still has to show strength. She still has to be that mom to that baby, to her 2 other daughters, and sort of the symbol now, really the head of the household now for the Bryant family, and fans and people who love Kobe Bryant will be looking at her and sort of reading how she deals with this mourning, and in a lot of ways, people are going to be looking up to her, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people will look to Vanessa on how to move forward. Where do you go from here? I mean, people in Los Angeles don't know Los Angeles without Kobe Bryant, and she has been a part of his story from the beginning. I mean, they started dating when she was in high school in Orange County, and she was with him his entire NBA rise. She stood by him when times were tough in their marriage, and they, of course, had the 4 beautiful daughters, and they made Kobe Bryant, as he likes to say, a girl dad. And I think that she will set the precedence here on how we're all supposed to feel when we think about what to do and where to move forward. And we're learning, Tom, as this is coming on the heels here, that the FAA is saying 5 years ago that pilot who was piloting that doomed helicopter was involved in an airspace violation during a cloudy day at LAX. And we're learning now today that on February 24th, Vanessa Bryant has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Island Express, against that helicopter company. TMZ says she is claiming that the pilot was reckless.
Yeah, Kana Whitworth, that news just breaking right now. Unfortunately, on the same day that people are coming here to honor Kobe Bryant and her daughter Gianna. You did mention the word girl's dad, and that sort of was a news story, something that came out of this horrible tragedy. Shortly after Kobe and Gianna's death, the hashtag Girl Dad went viral. ESPN's Ellie Duncan shows us how Kobe Bryant was not only an inspiration to many as a player, but also as a father of girls.
A girl dad is obviously a dad that has a daughter, but I think it's deeper than that. I think your love for her is just so strong, and you just get all mushy inside when you see her.
To be the father of girls, it means everything. I love my girls so much, and each one, you can already see their different personalities, and it definitely makes me feel special. Couldn't be happier to be a girl dad.
In the wake of his death, the words Kobe Bryant shared with me almost 2 years ago have now created a movement.
And without hesitation, he said, I would have 5 more girls if I could. I'm a girl dad.
Being able to just be with his daughters, be with his family, it's like the happiest I've ever seen him. All y'all see a girl dad, now it's a new hashtag. You quite understand that.
With 2 simple words, the world found a way to pay tribute to the legend through their daughters.
The fact that something like that has gotten trending, and I think the fact that the whole world kind of stopped when the tragedy happened, it just shows how much of an impact he had, not only on athletes, but on everyone across the world, and that's very powerful.
Thousands upon thousands of fathers honoring their daughters and daughters celebrating their dads. A simple phrase for a sacred bond.
Kobe impacted me as a girl dad by just showing that girls can do the same thing guys can do. They can have the same mindset. It seemed like he loved everything with so much passion, and I'm sure that came from having all girls. And so I'm trying to grow into that type of love for my family as well.
Kobe set the example of how to be a dad of girls and to inspire confidence in them and showing them that they can be and do anything that they want. The moments that I get to spend with Bernie before the games are moments I'll remember forever. She likes to just talk about, when are we going to the game so I can go out there and dribble with you on the court, Dad? She loves it. She lights up, and certainly lights me up.
You see, there's a perception that having boys makes men feel more complete. But there was Kobe in all his joy, reminding the world of the blessing that comes with being a dad to girls.
My wife is actually pregnant, and so we're expecting our fourth. And I've been getting a lot of people saying, what if it's another girl? As much as I would love a boy, as much as my wife would love a boy, there's definitely a part of me that hopes it's another girl.
From pros to average Joes to the daughters of giants, a community was forged.
I think the overall impact has been everything. I think dads in general have become better, it seems. We're proud to have our girls, and we're not just so, oh, I want a boy, I want a boy. I think we're embracing the girls and knowing that they're amazing.
You know, Kobe, also, just thank you for being a girl dad. And just thank you for loving Gigi and your other daughters the way you did. It's been a great example for me and loving my daughter, Sienna. So thank you, brother.
The story behind the hashtag Girls Dad. All right, coming up next, a man who faced off against Kobe on the court many times. Bruce Bowen joins us live to discuss his memories of the NBA icon. Stay with us. You are watching ABC News Live, continuing coverage of the memorial service for Kobe and Gianna Bryant.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline. ABC News, America's #1 news source. Straightforward news, straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward. And download the app now and sign up to get important breaking news alerts wherever you are.
Can you tell us your full name for the record?
Jeffrey Edward Epstein.
Every girl that meets Jeffrey starts off with giving him a massage. He's like, I'll pay you $200 for every girl that you bring to me.
Who else was underage?
All of them.
All of them?
He told me the younger the better.
How did he get so rich? How did he get away with it for so long? And what do the women who survived his crimes now have to say? Truth and Lies, Jeffrey Epstein. Listen free now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I'm grateful you woke up this morning.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sunshine. We've been waiting for you. Say good morning. Good morning, sunshine. In America. Say good morning. I want you to wake me up.
And back now with more ABC News Live coverage of the memorial for Kobe and Gianna Bryant. We are just moments away from the ceremony starting. Just behind me, you can see the crowds of fans that are trying to get into the Staples Center right now. The ceremony is set to start in just a few minutes. It could, maybe perhaps start a little later than that, but a lot of ticket holders are rushing to the gates right now to get in. Nearly everyone wearing Kobe Bryant gear. Joining us now is ESPN analyst and former NBA player for the San Antonio Spurs, who faced off on the court many times against Kobe, Bruce Bowen. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us on this day. I know your heart and your mind is with Kobe and his family today, but I do have to ask you, since you had the opportunity, unlike maybe anybody else who's watching right now, what was it like to play with Kobe Bryant, to try to cover him as a defensive player?
Well, it was a joy because he was definitely one of the best.